Okay, I think we're just about ready to get started. Sorry for the delay. It's just not enough coffee or whatever it is. But welcome to the Pure Room. The final day of the conference, always a little bit sad. But we start out with something good. It's the SUNY project, and we have an entire panel talking about your ventures into that.
All right, so we're going to go through our slides. We're going to have some time for question and answer at the end. It's a panel, but we have about half of the time will be on slides. So SUNY launched SUNY Research Connect, which is our pure implementation. Just a little bit of background. It's a community with 4 individual instances and 1 community module, which I don't think is in the slides, so wanted to share. Agenda. So we'll give you a little bit of background about SUNY, who was on the panel, who else was involved in the implementation project, how we got here, where we feel like we are now, and where we are headed. So borrowing from Dr. Stern, this is our SUNY 2-minute advertisement. So SUNY is the largest comprehensive system of public higher education in the country. We have 64 campuses comprising community colleges all the way up to doctoral granting institutions and first professional degree granting institutions. We have statutory colleges, College of Optometry, College of Maritime. So we are a large, diverse system that spans the entire state. I think they say that we have a campus within 30 miles of 98% of New Yorkers. Also, I'll go to this slide, a little bit more background about SUNY. We have, as of the most recent year, where all the data was available, about 400,000 students enrolled, about 5,000 academic programs, 84,000 degrees conferred, 30,000 faculty, $1.5 million in sponsored program expenditures, and over 15,000 publications indexed in Scopus. We have 9 research-intensive institutions, 4 R1s, 2 R2s, and then the remaining 3 research-intensive institutions. In terms of our team, or our panel, I'll let everyone introduce themselves. I'm Drew Walsh. I'm the Associate Director for Research, Data, and Strategy in the System Office, our central kind of headquarter office.
How you doing? I'm Al Galucci. I'm a Senior Data Strategist in the Office of Research, Innovation, and Economic Development at the State University of New York. It takes a long time to say my title.
Hi, I'm Daria LaRocca. I'm the Research Development Scientist at Upstate Medical University.
I'm Damian Rohrabacher. I'm a Research Intelligence Specialist with Elsevier.
And I'm Dave Shear. I'm a Solutions Engineer with Research Intelligence. And then we had a third colleague that couldn't be here, Jason Teitel. He was our Solutions Implementation Manager for this project.
So as much as we'd love to take all the credit, there's a project team that did this with us. This is our implementation team, the folks who couldn't be here, and we're really sad that they couldn't join us. But most of the work that we did was in collaboration with this team. And as you can see at the bottom of the slide, there's many, many more people that were involved in this. Departments, agencies, our IT department, our research foundation. We've had people from all over the spectrum really help us get this over the finish line. So it was really a team effort at every step of the way.
And I'm not sure how we missed this until now, but this top right quadrant is Stony Brook. So those represent our kind of 4 instances. We have Upstate, which we have Daria here, Stony Brook, Buffalo, each have their own instance, and then we have a multi-campus instance and a community that sits on top of that. So why we're here, we're going to give you a little bit of background, kind of from the various perspectives as provided by the individuals at those institutions. So at the system level, I started at the system in 2022. At that time, we were largely reliant on sponsored program award titles and reaching out to the VPRs and the campus sponsored program offices, and then Google searches to really identify our research expertise and capacity, seek out partnership opportunities and the likes, which impacted our ability to drive strategic decision-making at the system level, coupled with the fact that the governor challenged SUNY to double our research expenditures. We really needed more ability and insight into our research enterprise to understand and to inform that strategy. Take it away, Dari.
Okay, so about 7 years ago, we started trying to implement a system like Pure, and our in-house team told us it would take 5 years just to get started. And this was part of our VPR drew up a strategic plan in 2021, and one of the key parts of the cross-cutting initiatives was a research information management system. With the help of Drew and Al and their director, Catherine, we implemented Pure about 3 months ago.
So I'm going to read a little bit off the slide. I try not to do that, but these are the thoughts of Stony Brook. They provided this for us. So their key drivers, they really were looking for a comprehensive database of faculty expertise to share not only in the campus, but outside of the campus. They were looking for data management to help automate that stuff for their faculty. A big part of what we've been trying to do as a community in Pure is to make sure that our researchers have things at their fingertips, that we're pre-populating as much as we can, and that the profiles themselves are just being amended, really just updated by the researchers and not fully filled out where we can. So they've had working groups of campus stakeholders that convene to evaluate the products and determine the need for a RIMS.
And then at Buffalo, again, the input Buffalo shared is that they had been working on internally developed systems for a couple of needs, both internal strategic insights and into their expertise and to support collaborations, as well as a public-facing view. They ran into what I would imagine would be very common challenges: disambiguation, connected data, things that we'll kind of get into a little bit, but we can expand upon. We at the system level also encountered when using not connected data. So that drove them to also be supportive of this initiative and ultimately decide to get their own portal.
So this is a general timeline. This started many, many years ago, but really from 2021 forward is where we started to kick it into high gear across the campuses. So you can see that Upstate had it in their strategic plan in 2021. And as we started to move forward in time, everybody was hiring consultants. Everybody was trying to do it themselves, finding out what we could do as far as feasibility was concerned. And then as we moved forward in time, we saw that we identified through different task forces that we wanted a RIMS, and everybody was kind of converging on that idea. So it was in 2025 that it really kicked into high gear, where we started to implement the Pure platform for everybody. And we have, as Drew mentioned before, one community and 3 individual campus instances plus 1 multi-campus instance. And finally, we launched in January of this year. We had our press release in February for system, and we're going to start looking ahead.
So where things stand now, the system is live. I think as of this morning, we've had over 32,000 new users via Google Analytics that have checked on the community. Adobe Analytics has an even higher number. We have 26 of our state-operated four-year institutions included in the system, plus one of our affiliated organizations and our system office. We have over 200 pieces of equipment and facilities, respectively, or combined, I guess. Over 7,000 researchers, over 36,000 awards, and over 300,000 publications or research outputs at the community level.
So this is the part where I get to brag a little bit about the cool stuff we've done. So the first thing I should mention when we talk about the 3-level hierarchy transformation, we have all of our organizations provided to us programmatically, so we can take that and then further slice it and dice it. So you can imagine that we have a lot of departments, some are 7 or 8 levels deep, and what we ended up doing was taking our universities as the top level. We then had either a school or another department, and then a department under that, and everything that was under that then rolls up to that department. And we do that all programmatically. So as our hierarchy comes in, it gets transformed seamlessly and then sent out to Pure. Some inter and intra-instance awards. So we have many campuses that we include in our instances, and we load the awards centrally, so our research foundation provides a lot of that data for us, and we were able to take that and load awards for people that moved campuses, that moved instances. And it's really great, as I mentioned before, we're really trying to make it easy for the researchers to come into their profile and just have all of the data there. So the homepage banner, I feel like I'm going to get escorted out here by Pure Security, but we did a little bit of HTML magic on the COVID banner. As you might know it, if you have an instance, we wanted to show all of our campuses. So we have our doctorals and UCs, our university centers, that are scrolling on the banner, and under that, we have all of the rest of the SUNY campuses, the state-operated ones at least. Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, those were concepts. Those were things that we started to help with. Search was a big thing for SUNY as we started to get into the Pure platform. There were some things that didn't pull up concepts initially that we started to work with Elsevier on to make sure that those specific terms would pull up the correct concept and to make sure that people who are searching on our platforms find what they're looking for. Co-managing organizations, I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with this. If you use it, great. We actually started to use it in our multi-campus instance specifically for our awards because we have at the central level the ability to manage all of the awards for the campuses, but we also want to give them the ability to manage their own awards. So we use co-managing organizations to find our awards that, again, are centrally managed through the Research Foundation. So we take a look at all of the people who are involved in those awards and those specific campuses, and then we load them into co-managing organizations. Finally, the last cool thing that I hope everybody does with their Pure platform is we use it to help shore up our source system data. So we have been very steadfast in our messaging to all of our constituents that we're not going to change any of the data in SUNY Research Connect. If there's something wrong, if there's something that needs to be changed, go back to the source system. We'll pull it forward the next time we load it. So through those things, I feel like we've done a really cool job of doing stuff.
So I get to be the person who delivers the less positive news. So pain points. The first pain point is an internal SUNY pain point. We have persistent identifiers that follow people through their life at SUNY, institution to institution, student to faculty to staff, every level. So we have a unique PID for every person in the system with caveats. So through this process, we have learned how many and where those caveats, or at least most of those caveats, reside. So that's been a pain point for us, both in working with, at least at the central office, 25 of those campuses, and even providing guidance and support for the other 3 campuses. We learned that the data is not always stored in the right place. We learned that the data sometimes is stored but doesn't provide the access we need, and we found that sometimes people don't have a global ID. So global IDs are issued for all state employees plus. We have non-state employees in the Research Foundation, which is our separate 501c3. So connecting this ecosystem has been something of a challenge. We think we've, at least with our big constituents, have worked out the processes to get this, to at least identify the right person to solve these in a fairly short time frame. I should mention that these IDs are used for 2 purposes. They're used for both authentication into the system. So that is our entry point, our single sign-on into pure backend, and it's also used for our persistent identifier for the person. So when we're connecting awards or other metadata, that is our ID that we're using, and that is a one size. Everybody is using that same ID as their person ID across all instances. The next 3 are challenges we've experienced on the Elsevier side. So on the community harvester, we have kind of 2 different issues. One is that not all the content types get ingested or harvested into the community. So for example, fingerprints, if somebody makes a fingerprint in their individual instance, that change won't flow to the community. So we're not currently making those changes in the community. We have disparities where an individual instance is supporting changes in the fingerprints, removal of fingerprints that aren't then feeding to the community. There are other content types like impacts that are doing the same, so that's something that is being worked on. The other is that we're working with Elsevier. We've noticed some of the records, particularly or maybe exclusively on the grants and awards or projects and awards, are not linking properly using the metadata we supplied. So that's another thing that we are actively working with Elsevier on. Second issue is reporting. As we showed on a prior slide, we have a lot of data, and so we've started to test out some use cases, and I would say the data tables have worked in being able to produce the outputs or the reports or the data summaries that we're looking for. But when we get to the data stories, it doesn't do that. So that's kind of our big challenge or limitation as it pertains to reporting. The other is trying to figure out how we assign permissions to different users without giving them the ability to edit any information and without giving them the ability to even edit the report that we don't want them to touch. Third and final is the search, which Al alluded to earlier. We want our cake and we want to eat it too. We want the search to be everything to everyone, which is a challenge. We want it to be both specific and granular, and to be able to interpret and understand what people are saying and intending by the words that they may not be using. So we're still working through ways, both directions, how we can guide the campuses on how to populate the profiles in a way that will support the results in the search that they would like to see. And we are working with or meeting with our Elsevier colleagues to better understand that functionality to see if there are additional changes that we should be making or changes that can be made in the system directly to support some of those needs.
Drew doesn't know I'm going to do this, but on the last slide, we brought down the administrative portal a couple times. And I do want to say it's not a contest, but I broke it first. But Drew broke it best. Ours hung when I ran a query, his actually brought it down. So then we got yelled at to stop doing what we were doing. So where are we going next? We're going to continue the socialization that we've been doing. So we've been doing a world tour. We've been going to campuses. We've been doing webinars. We have some webinars at the end of the month, talking to our researchers, talking to our administrators. We have local campus administrators, if we haven't mentioned that yet. So we consider ourselves to be the level 2 support. Elsevier is the level 3 support. And our level 1 campus administrators are boots on the ground, talking to our researchers every day. We're looking to streamline and automate our workflows. So that's something that we've really been hoping to do on our side right now. We load our XMLs manually, but they're automatically processed for the most part. So we're looking to take all of those touch points out to make sure that our data comes in seamlessly and goes out seamlessly right into Pure. We're doing ongoing data quality review. We have our ears out to hear of anything incorrect. We want to make sure that the data coming in is the best it can be, and if it's not, we're going to go find out why. We're the people that will look at every single detail and make sure that those details make sense. Additional trainings and documentation. So we've, again, as I mentioned, been providing trainings. We have documentation for all of our platforms. We've actually done YouTube videos, short YouTube videos to help our researchers and administrators get into the platform, change their profile. We have a search video coming out soon, which is going to be our longest at about 10 minutes. Additional facilities and equipment. So we have a couple hundred facilities and equipment in the platform now. We're looking to expand that. That was something that we weren't intending to roll out with initially, but we are looking to do that as we go along. Patents and other data sources are things that we're exploring now. We'd love to get a source for patents and put that right into the system. And we've had some data source issues. We don't have community colleges in there. There's some faculty at some of our institutions that we couldn't get in there because we don't have a great data source for them. So we use our internal HR systems to populate as much as we can, but those systems are not encompassing for all of the people that do research at SUNY. And finally, we're looking for reporting and insights. So as we mentioned, we're trying to work with Pure to make sure we can get the insights that we need from there. We're also starting to ingest our data and to look at it in a new and different way. This is the first time we've had a data set like this in the research office. So we're really trying to see what can we do. And that's going to be a lot of fun coming up in the next year or so.
I'm going to ad lib for a second. I think it was the slide this morning that the themes of the conference or yesterday was collaboration, transparency, and trust. And I would say all of those are things that are front and center in our approach to implementation. And specifically hearkening on the trust piece, Al talked about the data review. We want the researchers to trust that we're being responsible with their data. We want them to have some level of control. They can hide their profile. They can add to their profile. We don't want them to try to manipulate their profile. And I would say the same extends to facilities and equipment. We want data that is going to be accurate and reliable. We don't want something that's on the public facing site that a researcher or an industry partner looks at, they go, this is great, they reach out, and that equipment's been offline for 6 months. So there's a phased rollout where we're really trying to make sure that the quality, consistency, and accuracy of that data is very high, and we can build on that incrementally over time to support additional needs and use cases. All right, now the panel part.